We could have a total polar shift, yet science doesn't even talk to us about this. And it's a very real possibility.
Of course it is. We have taken geological samples up near the Arctic Circle that show a very broad range of alignments of the poles of the Earth. Now, these alignments occur when lava comes up through the crust and then it freezes. It assumes the magnetic alignment of the Earth at that time. Well, when we go up near the Arctic Circle, we see these tectonic spectrums of north and south pole alignments in mountains and in rock that hasn't moved for hundreds of thousands of years. And guess what? Sometimes it shows the north as south and the south as north. And this is, according to the Coriolis effect, something that could occur rather quickly, like in a matter of days. The north and south poles could switch. And we could talk a little bit about what the effects would be on the surface of the planet if that should happen.
Yeah, I'd love to know, because there's some people, I've asked this question, Brooks, many times. Some people believe that we could go instantly. Other people think it's gradually, and some people think nothing will happen at all, which I don't believe. I think it'll be pretty drastic.
There's too much evidence that the poles do shift. North and south poles do shift. And if the core is detached from the crust, as we believe, and the core is thus counter-rotating against the crust, creating our powerful magnetic field, which we call a magnetosphere, if all those things are true and line up, then we are setting ourselves up, or the planet is set up to do a Coriolis flip, that the north and south poles could flip. And I mean in somewhere between 72 hours and 5 days, this flip could be complete. Now, it doesn't take an atmospheric physicist to understand what's going to happen, but I'll explain it briefly. The north hemisphere and the southern hemisphere have different weather patterns. For instance, if you drain water down the tub in Australia, it goes clockwise instead of counterclockwise, and opposite up here. Well, the jet stream does exactly the same thing. Clouds move counterclockwise and clockwise in different areas, and so do the oceanic currents. If all of those things move and move suddenly, you're going to have conditions set up for what's called a global superstorm. Now, these are snowstorms, but they're not ordinary snowstorms. They are super cold, and they cover large geographic areas.
And in terms of the intensity, how intense is it?
Well, according to what we've uncovered in the book, and this goes back 26,000 years as far as we can gather data, we could be facing winds of 300 miles an hour, and those winds could last for a month or more.
That would knock down practically everything.
Once you got sand and glass and rocks moving at that speed, it would literally sandblast areas of the planet.
And we are talking planetary-wide, right?
Yes. Well, there'll be corridors where the winds are going that high. In the northernmost and southernmost areas, the winds won't be that high, but I would say from about 35 degrees north and 35 degrees south, the winds will be the highest.
Will we see this coming, Brooks?
Well, we're already seeing it coming. The hurricanes are getting much, much more intense. Straight-line winds, what are called errant tidal waves. These are huge waves, 100-foot-high waves that race around the planet at 400 to 500 miles an hour. Now, fortunately, the ocean's deep, so they don't crest and crash. But there are ocean liners that are reporting these errant tidal waves that go racing around the planet. And now the frequency's up to more than one a month.
One a month?
Yes, more than one a month. And this is reported by ocean liners that are out at sea. I know two people that have been on two separate cruises where 900-foot-long ships have almost been turned on their sides at sea.
And your projection of wind speed, for example, 300 miles an hour, that could be a low projection.
It could be, yes. Of course, wind is asymptotic in the sense that it can only go so fast, and then it starts crunching up against the sound barrier. But 300 or 400 mile an hour winds, which is roughly double what you see in a tornado, And, look at the tornadoes just in the last 8 weeks in the U.S. They've been devastating. Iowa's been flooded.
St. Louis area has been.
St. Louis area, correct. And also up in Maine, they've had bitter cold temperatures. It's in fact here in Washington State, they had the coldest, longest winter they've ever seen. More snow than ever.
Could this trigger an ice age?
It could, and it's funny because ice ages, it's believed in the past, sort of creep up on you. That's not the way they occur at all. Ice ages occur suddenly. They drop 8 to 10 feet of snow. It doesn't melt off during the summer. It reflects a lot of energy back out into space, which is called the albedo effect. Right now, Earth is warming because it's absorbing energy and from the sun and from other sources. But when it reflects that energy out into space, it cools. Now, that occurs 2 ways. One is if we get very high cloud cover. That is usually accompanied by cosmic radiation during high solar flare activity. Right now, we have no solar flare activity. There's been no sunspots appreciable for months.
Scientists are getting concerned about that.
Yes, and we thought that solar cycle 24 had started. We saw a high-latitude reverse polarity sunspot 3 months ago, but we really haven't seen any follow-ups. And now we've seen sunspot 1000 from solar cycle